Hello everybody, welcome to another video. This one will be on building in Space Engineers and how to make your builds look nicer. There will be two parts to this. There will be exterior and there will be interior. You can use this tutorial on anything that you're building, whether it's a drone or a station or just a ship. Alright, let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is interior. And the interior is probably the most valuable part of the ship, no matter how bad your exterior looks, because the interior is needed for functional use. The exterior is mostly just making it look nice to enemies or other people. The interior requires a lot of detail, and it requires also a lot of function in the ship. So you want to make your ships like they are built for survival, even if you're not making it for survival, because that way it'll make it functional and it'll force you to focus on mineral use, like how much this ship would cost if you're actually gonna make it, and that way it'll make your ships a lot more compact. And if they're compact, you can add a lot of details way more easily. So if I had a big thing like here, and I just wanted to put a gravity generator in it, like that, it would be kind of hard to make it nice, make it look nice. I suppose if you you could add a lot of detail, but you definitely do not want just giant rooms like this. You don't just want to make a giant room and then fill it in after you're done. You want to start from the interior. So you want to maybe start from the bridge, and then maybe make a little corridor. I tend to go for a outline of the ship just to see where I'm building. So maybe I'd have like a small bridge, like right here. You don't have to focus on looking nice. You just have to make it functional, and then you can focus on making it look nice later, which is what I usually do. So to getting into the detail, hold on, let me just make it daytime. So making the detail, you can do any types of things. You can use windows even if they're not going anywhere. You can put these kind of windows, which are also really good. I can show you an example. So if I wanted to make a corridor, so let's say it's going this way, like that, I could maybe put some vertical windows like that, or diagonal windows. You don't want your corridor or whatever you're looking at too repeated, because if you just make a corridor with the same thing for a long time, you don't want that. It won't look good. So make sure every room is a very small amount of details and it is not repeated too much. So this would probably be a good size for a corridor. And then you don't want your corridor too much bigger after this. You probably want to add like a little connecting a junction for other rooms, and that would make it look nice. Maybe put some pillars here, and you want to use as many blocks as possible, as many different blocks as possible. And you can just come up with random ideas, and you don't have to think about it too much. You can just place it down, and if it doesn't look good, just remake it. Because the more you place and the more you think, the more experience you gain for making good ships. And you can just experiment with all kinds of them. You want to force yourself to use things that you don't usually use, even if they're like hydrogen generators or something that wouldn't be put there. Try to use as many of the decoration blocks as possible. I'm just doing a little corridor here. I'm not sure what this would be. Maybe a little station on Earth or something like that. But yeah, you can just experiment, and you make good ships. Another thing you want to do is using these slopes, because you probably already use the slopes, the less steep slopes, but you really want to use these a lot, because every build I do, I always set my block here and then the rest of the slopes. They're really useful, and you could make your regular edges much better doing that. You want to use a lot of these. Even if they don't fit, you can just experiment and try and just make random edges and build on, and it will suddenly just look way nicer. Like for example, you just find like a wall that's just too flat in the interior, like this one maybe. You could add some, I don't know, batteries. I like batteries because they're a full block and they're mechanical, not just whole, and they look pretty nice in a whole way, and also useful in case your main power goes out. And then maybe you could add some windows here, so like this. I'm just giving examples, but you can really do anything, and just experiment. And the more you experiment, the more knowledge you gain. Yeah, that's basically it for interiors. Okay, moving on. For exteriors, I consider exteriors probably more easier than interiors. But exteriors are mostly just a lot of edges that you need to build. Mostly edges and not much else. You can put other stuff. It doesn't need as much detail as interiors do. But yeah, if you put just a little amount of details on the exterior, and it'll always look much better. If you're going for a specific plan, like if you're trying to remake a ship that's already been made before, then you probably shouldn't do this idea of making random blocks and detailing. You should more go for the design. But if you're just building a ship from like a basic design off Google Images, and you wanna just remake it, well, you don't actually have to follow everything. You should technically make it yourself and try and experiment with lots of blocks. I'm just making edges here, putting random blocks. I mean, it doesn't look too good, but if I expand onto it, it'll probably look better. Another thing for exteriors is you tend to have a lot of black walls, and people don't really know how to detail these, or they just won't detail them. A good simple way for doing these is getting these half blocks and putting them like this, putting them in just basic lines. And this isn't much. You can add on to it later, but it definitely adds a lot of detail even with not very much work. Like if I just place these half slopes here, oops. It's already looking much better than it did before, even if it's very little. You can also place lights on the outside. Lights are generally placed on the interior, which is what most people would do, but lights on the exterior look better than what most people think they do. So I'm just making a basic light here. I can place some reactors to power the lights. And then you can like make them different colors, like, so if you're in space, for example, and then you increase the radius of the lights, it looks much better. Yeah, a lot of people don't actually know how to use the lights. I mean, you probably do know how to place lights and stuff, but they don't know that you can actually increase the radius. So what people would do is they'll place a lot of lights like that, and just to fill up the whole room. But you can actually just put one light and increase the radius, but you probably already know that. Probably one last thing for exterior is, let me just make it daytime. One last thing is making it functional. So I don't really make mining ships. I usually just make fighting ships. But if you give it a function, it'll make it look a lot better. So if it was a mining ship, you can add drills and stuff, and maybe make a hangar with like a drill ship in it, and that'll make it look pretty good, because it gives it a function instead of just a blank ship. One last thing. Usage of turrets. This is probably the last thing I'm gonna talk about. Yeah, turrets can be good if you, especially if you're in creative mode. You need some control on where you place your turrets. So let's say I get these turrets. So what you can do is, if your ship is not necessarily a mining ship, or I mean a fighting ship, if it's a mining ship or maybe a transport, you can still add turret. It doesn't need to be completely defenseless, because that makes it more realistic. Just don't add like a whole load of turrets. That doesn't make any sense. You can maybe add like 1 or 2 interior turrets on your mining ship, which make it look nice. You can add other turrets, but if depending on what like class the ship is, I'd advise not doing so many turrets. Even with fighting ships, too many turrets don't look good, and they aren't realistic either, because they cost a lot of money. I know that some people might like, if you're actually trying to do a fight, then making so many turrets is actually a good idea. But it doesn't look good for the ship. So if I had just a basic building here, and I had like a whole load of turrets, it wouldn't look nice, but it would be very effective compared to just having 2 turrets. Yeah. Interior turrets you can be used in the interior, but you shouldn't spam it. So if I had just a small room like this, maybe like 1 turret, and you don't always have to place it on the ground. You can place it on the roof too, so you can have like a small room right here, place a turret there, maybe have a window here, and it's already starting to look nice even with nothing in it. You can add some, so let's say you had like a little corridor here. Well, actually, let's make it just a room. You don't want your rooms too small. That's you do want them compact, but you don't want them so that they have like 1 entrance, unless it's like a hotel or something like that. So I can just have a little room here, and then that's where the turret would probably go. That's where I would probably put the turret, and then maybe I could have like a med bay here. It would help. Like this. No, I can't place it. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Can't really get in the room, but it just gives you an example of how it would be built, and maybe like a door here. Yeah. That's pretty much it for my video, guys. If you enjoyed, just leave a like. If you want me to make other videos on building like specific things, I can add more detail to my videos. This isn't the best video, but I hope it did help your buildings, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.